Hello BookTube, Sarah here, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with a tag video. This is the, what's it called here? The Book Snob book tag. And I was tagged by the lovely Steve Donahue. Thank you so much, Steve. Steve had a few things to say about romance novels in this tag, and I have a few more things to say about romance novels. So I knew I wanted to jump right in and do this tag. So the original tag was done by Tia and All the Books, and I will link that in the description box below. So there are 7 questions, so let's jump in and get started. The first one is, Adaptation Snob, do you always read the book before you see the movie? I am going to answer and say yes. Only because, for one, actually, to be honest, guys, I am not a big movie watcher. I do not watch very many movies at all. I used to watch a lot more movies, but lately, I just... maybe if everything wasn't remade, I'd want to go see more movies. But if I know that there is a movie of the book, like if I know that there's a movie and I've read the book, or I want to read the book or something, I will generally watch it beforehand. Like back in the day, you know, I read Gone with the Wind before I ever saw the movie. And The Da Vinci Code, same thing. Memoirs of a Geisha, the book was amazing. That is one that I think that you would benefit from reading the book prior to seeing the movie, because I read the book and my mother didn't, and we saw the movie together, and she questioned a lot of things on why they were happening, whereas I kind of knew why they were happening because I'd read the book. And The Help by Catherine Stockett, I mean, that is a great adaptation, but that book is fantastic and you need to read the book. Question number 2, format snob. If you had to choose only one format for the rest of your life, print, electronic, or audio, which would it be? Electronic all the day long. This, you would have to pry out of my cold dead hands. My tablet or my e-reader is it for me. I mean, that's the direction that we're going to start going in. You guys know I love audiobooks. Absolutely love audiobooks. But if you were to tell me I could only pick either audio or ebook, I would definitely pick ebook all day long. And even, I do love print books. I mean, I've got a ton. I've got bookshelves filled with print books, but I still prefer 100% electronic. Ship snob, would you date or marry a non-reader? Well, I married a reader. I mean, he's not as much of a reader as I am, but he is a reader, and I don't think it matters anyway. It's reading is a solitary activity. Does it really matter? Like, if the person, I guess maybe so they can understand, you know, how much you enjoy something, but differences within a couple are cool too. Genre snob. Here we go. Here comes the fun, kids. Have you ditched you have to ditch one genre and never read it again? What would it be? Sci-fi fantasy. I am not a fan of sci-fi fantasy. I don't mind them, but I can do without the werewolves and the vampires and the spaceships and the other planets and the dystopian and all those things. I'm totally cool with just sticking here on Earth with humans. I don't care what the time period is, but I will stick on Earth with humans. Thank you very much. Uber genre snob. You only read one genre from the rest of your life for the rest of your life. What would it be? Romance. 100% romance. I love lots of other. Whoops! I almost dropped my tablet. I love lots of other genres. I do. I love historical fiction. It's one of my favorite things. Cozy mysteries are fantastic. I absolutely adore a lot of nonfiction. And I love that Olive Over to Book Olive does Nonfiction November every year. And I do try and participate. Because, you know, as much as I love my romance, but if you're asking me to pick one, it would definitely be romance. Because within the romance genre, you get so many different things. You could have romantic suspense. You can have historical romance. You can have even paranormal romance if that's your jam. You know, inspirational. You can have. There's so many different categories within romance itself. There really is a little something for everybody. So yeah, that would be the one that I would pick, obviously. Community snob. Which genre do you think receives the most snobbery from the bookish community? And this is where Steve touched on the romance. And I 100% agree. When I first started my channel, I was very, very nervous because I did not find a lot of other romance readers within the booktube community. There are a number of us that are quote unquote coming out of the woodwork, if you will. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I have never, ever been ashamed of reading what I read. I love it. You know, I've had people comment, like when I'm at lunch at work and I'm reading a book and they're like, oh, you're reading something a little bit fluffy. And, you know, it's just kind of like, bugger off. What are you reading? You know, like, I'm reading something. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm reading something, so leave me the heck alone. You know, but the beauty part about having an e-reader is something, what are you reading? War and Peace. Now leave me alone. I'm at the peace part. They're merging alliances. Wink, wink. But it's just, I don't know why it's so looked down upon. But yet, as Steve touched on in his video, it is the best-selling genre in books ever. There is a great documentary on Netflix called, I think it's called Under the Covers, but it's like a 2-hour-long documentary all on romance novels. And even if you're not a romance novel reader, I highly suggest you give it a watch because it is really eye-opening. They talk with a lot of well-known authors. I know Brenda Jackson is one of them, and I think Kristen Higgins they talk to, and maybe even Maisie Yates, and Nora Roberts, of course, the great Nora Roberts. It was a great documentary, and, you know, to me, it's funny because I remember, my dad, I remember this because, well, it was with my dad, many, many, many years ago when the first Harry Potter book came out. The woman that my dad worked with, his partner, they worked together for a brokerage firm, and she had 2 younger daughters, and I guess her younger daughters wanted to read Harry Potter. Well, she wanted to read it first just to make sure it was age appropriate for them. So she read it and she loved it. So she handed it to my dad and she said, you need to read this book. So he was kind of like, it's a children's book. Really? You know, like, I have adult children. Like, at the time it was over the summer and I was going to work with him like for a few days a week to kind of get into like working in an office kind of an idea. So I was probably about 18. I don't remember what year Harry Potter came out. I was in my late teens. And I remember he started reading it at home because he wasn't going to bring it, you know, on the train with him. Well, he got so engrossed in that first book, he actually read it twice. And he was reading it one night coming home on the train, and someone said to him, he goes, are you reading a children's book? And my dad said, yeah, have you read it? It's amazing. And the guy's like scoffing at him. And then Dad and I were talking about this, a number of years ago, just in conversation. And he said, now you can't turn around without watching an adult read a book geared towards young adults or children. You know, I mean, everybody read Harry Potter. It doesn't matter what age you were, you read Harry Potter. People read The Hunger Games. People read Twilight. You know, like, why are you scoffing books, romance novels that are geared towards adults, but yet you're perfectly acceptable with reading books geared towards children? And I'm not judging anybody, you know, like, if you loved and read the Harry Potter series as an adult, good for you. That's awesome. I read the first couple books. They weren't my cup of tea, but each to their own. And it wasn't because they were geared towards children. It's because they were considered to be fantasy, which, as you guys know, not one of my favorite, you know, things. But it just boggles my mind. And even to touch on this topic even a bit more, even within the romance reading community, there is major snobbery between romance readers. Because you will get someone who is reading, just to grab a book for random, The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Oh my God, this book is so amazing. I'm absolutely loving it. You need to read this book. I haven't actually read this book yet. Guys, I'll update you in July when I read it. But if I'm sitting there and I'm reading this, a Harlequin Blaze novel, it's like, oh, yeah, you're reading a category romance? Yeah, those are crap. Like, even within the romance novel community, a lot of people think that these are crap. Now, all books, there are good books and bad books. It does not matter if they're a category romance, if they are a regular romance, if they are a highfalutin literature, something, you know, like Shakespeare or aforementioned War and Peace, Moby Dick, you know, each to their own. These books are good. They're enjoyable. Now, I think the reason that they get a lot of bad press is because they are considered to be throwaway. The way these category romances work is that they bring out so many each month. And then if you go to the bookstore and you wanted a book that came out in May and it's now June, you are not going to find it on your shelf at the bookstore. With the advent of e-readers, you will find it on Amazon. So you can buy an e-copy of it, which is great. But way back when, before e-readers, once the month was over, any excess stock that the bookstore had, they would send them back to the publisher. So, you know, that's why I think that they were considered to be throwaway books. And I kind of see that. But as reading material, they are not. Yes, you are going to get some that are horrible. Believe me, I've been doing my 40 Years of Harlequin project. I've been reading some that are not that great. But overall, these are highly enjoyable books. They are fun, escapist reads, much like anything else. Not everything that you read needs to... I shouldn't even say that, because you can learn something from any book. I could potentially learn something from this book. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have the possibility of learning something new, of getting a new idea from any book at all. You know, any book at all. It doesn't matter. What else do I have over here? Like, you know, this book was fantastic. Just Breathe by Susan Wiggs. Like, you know, like another romance novel that, you know, some people would think, oh, you know, blah, 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 it's just a throwaway romance. No, these are good, you guys. I'm telling you. You know, I know I'm preaching to the choir here because I know a lot of you are romance readers and you get it. But I'm just saying that I think beyond people being snobbery about romance novels, the thing that bothers me more are romance readers who are putting down other romance readers for reading things like this. And believe me, guys, I see it all the time. Question number 7. Snobbery Recipient. Have you ever been snubbed for reading something you've been reading or reading in general? Yes, I think I already answered that within the last couple questions about being kind of looked down upon about reading certain things. You know, that story of my dad on the train being told about reading Harry Potter. You know, I get it a lot. And you know what? I've come to the point where I don't care, because what I find are those people who are turning your nose up at me sitting there, you know, at the doctor's office waiting to see my doctor reading this, who are going to turn their noses up at me and go, oh, you're reading a fluffy book, you know, like this. And what are you doing? Oh, I'm sorry. You're playing Candy Crush on your phone. Nothing wrong with that, but you could be reading a book. But instead you're choosing to play Candy Crush on your phone. So don't judge me, okay? Okay. Anyway, guys, that's all that I have for this tag. Kind of a short little tag, just a little bit of fun. Just kind of wanted to put my thoughts out there for this tag. Who should I tag for this? I think I'm going to tag Lindsay over at The Wandering Reader. I'm going to tag Karen over at Rather Be Reading. And I'm also going to tag Shannon over at Shannon Riddler. I'd love to see all your guys' answers. And I will leave all the questions and the original tag and a link to Steve's video in the description box below. If I didn't tag you, but you want to do your tag, consider yourself tagged. And I will see you guys all in my next video. Take care and happy reading, everybody. Bye.